guys, now that you're embarking on your social issue topic, it's essential for us to spend some time talking about narrowing your topic down. We tend to choose a topic and we get very excited about it because we're like, oh, there's a whole lot I can say about this particular topic. And so we go out to the internet, we start researching, and then we try to jam all the information that we can get about that topic into a paper. And what tends to happen is that instead of investigating a particular aspect or element of the topic, we end up doing what's called surveying the topic. Think for a minute about taking a history class. Okay, there's actually classes called survey classes. A survey class would be if you were to take American history or American literature, something like that. So we start off way back here, maybe at America's inception, or back here in the 1600s when the Puritans first set foot in America, and we go all the way up to just about the present. Okay. We could also take a class on the American Revolution, okay, 2 different classes. If we take the survey class, we're still going to talk about the American Revolution. We're also going to talk about the Civil War. We're also going to talk about emancipation. We're also going to talk about the Declaration of Independence, writing the Constitution, events leading up. We're going to talk probably about Native Americans in boarding schools. We're going to talk about various ways that maybe the American military interacted with Native populations. We're going to talk about the death of the buffalo, right? There's all kinds of things that are going to come up as we're taking this American history course. If we're studying the American Revolution, we're only going to talk about the American Revolution. So the entire semester is going to be devoted to important figures, maybe important battles, why and how they were important to the revolution overall, and so forth. The same principle applies when we're writing a research paper. So when we choose a topic, we can't tackle the immensity, the enormity of that topic in a 5 to 7 page research paper. It doesn't work. We're going to end up surveying the topic. We're going to let the reader know that something is a factor or that something is an aspect or element of our topic, but they're not going to be able to understand why and how it works and why and how it relates to our argument. So any topic that you choose, it's vital to bring it down to a very focused central piece of the topic you want to discuss. So let me explain some ways that we might do this, okay? For this particular paper, I am going to be focusing on the effectiveness of masks, which seems like a great place to start, right? I mean, we can talk about transmission, we can talk about infection, we can talk about fabric, materials, right? However, the problem is that there are numerous types of masks. For instance, there are N95s, there are, oh, this is still in bold, let me turn that off. There are surgical masks. There are homemade cloth masks. There are people wear neck gaiters. People wear bandanas. There are various types of open-bottomed masks. There are face shields. There are plastic masks, like ones I wear to teach my classes. Some of you have seen them. Sorry, my capitalization is all over the place. Okay, these are some of the major types of masks that are available that people are wearing these days. If I'm going to do well writing this essay, I need to select a particular type of mask to investigate. Does that mean that the other ones are not important to investigate? No, it doesn't, but it means that I can very much center the information that I want to get, and I can go deeply in, I can go into depth about how well each type of mask works, why it works that way, how it works, whether or not it's effective, maybe methods to make it more effective, methods that are currently used that make it less effective, etc. Okay, so for the purposes of this essay, I am going to focus on cloth masks because this is a major point of contention. It's a big social issue as a whole when we are talking these days about wearing masks. Okay, so I'm narrowing this down then to cloth masks. Could I narrow it down further? I probably could. I could choose a very specific type of fabric. I could choose a very specific type of design. But after doing some research, I'm finding that that's pretty difficult to do because there is no specific fabric or design. So I'll have to talk about a few different types. However, it does mean that I don't have space or time to talk about all of this because there's a lot to discuss in terms of homemade cloth masks. Okay, so one effective method for narrowing your topic is to make a list. So for instance, if you're talking about something like taking grizzly bears off the endangered species list, there might be a lot of reasons why that would be helpful. For instance, maybe you're looking at it through a lens of conservation. Maybe you're looking at it through a lens of a hunting season. Maybe you're looking at it through a lens of better territory for the bears. Maybe you're looking at it through a lens of creating jobs for fish and wildlife folks. There are many directions that you can go. And if you select a direction, it can help you, again, narrow the focus of your paper. If listing doesn't work for you, though, I encourage you to spend some time thinking about your personal perspective on the topic. So, for instance, I have a little bit of a beef with grizzly bears because we used to get grizzly bears on our property every single summer. They were breaking into our chicken coop every night. We had an electric fence. We had tweeters, these little things that send off a lot of high-pitched sound to try to scare the bears off. We parked a car in front of the chicken coop and hit the panic button every time they walked in. We had 2 dogs barking. We had Fish and Game setting live traps, and the bears just kept coming back to the chicken coop. So I might, through that personal experience, think that introducing a hunting season on the bears is a really good idea because clearly, if they're in our yard every night, there's far too many bears, right? So we should cull some of them. Okay, that's my personal perspective. But now I can take that and turn it into a question. Are there too many bears to be supported by their current habitat? Okay. I can say something like, why are bears coming into populated areas? I could ask a question like, why do bears keep returning to chicken coops? I might ask that question out of frustration. Okay. And I can use these to figure out why or how basically bear habits work and how do bear habits, right, these animals' habits, their instincts influence where they go and what they do. And then that can lead me to maybe arguing that some of these bears should be moved to a different habitat, or that, you know, maybe it leads me to a different argument entirely. Maybe it leads me to saying that people outside city limits shouldn't be allowed to keep chickens because, you know, maybe the bears are doing exactly what bears do, and the fact that I have chickens is what's problematic. Okay. So starting from my personal perspective, starting from what I think about bears, I can begin to question what the actual story is with the bears and use that to bring me to a very specific argument or a very specific perspective that I can then research. It doesn't mean that there isn't more to say about the bears. It doesn't mean that there aren't more factors of this argument. There absolutely are, but I'm not writing a book about grizzly bears. I'm writing a short essay about one aspect of the argument surrounding grizzly bears. So I need to let myself be okay with the fact that I'm not talking about everything there is to talk about, and I can orient myself to this very particular aspect of the topic. So as you prepare to research, really spend time thinking about what particular avenue you want to go down. And then as you continue narrowing down and understanding more about your topic, then get rid of more of that outside information, that unnecessary information, that survey information that's creeping in, and focus your topic as clearly and consistently and precisely around that main idea, that main concept as you can. Explain that thoughtfully, thoroughly, carefully, and logically to your readership. That's your goal in writing your research paper.